Hello. In this video, we will be looking at the concept of strategic human resources management with regards to the impact of SHRM in the organization and the 7 steps that are involved in the strategic human resources management. Let's begin the learning. The question is now how to make an impact using the strategic human resources management in any organizational operations. So in this section, we'll list few tips to make a very impact with the truly strategic human resources management. The very first step would be to create a human resource strategic plan that follows the business. The first step towards making a strategic impact with the strategic HRM is to create an HR strategic plan. So now you need to remember how strategic HRM follows the business. This means that the HR strategy should follow the broader business strategy. And that's exactly what we need to find by understanding a bit more deeper. So first you need to understand the broader business strategy. Then you need to align what we are doing in HR with the business strategy. So the HR strategy should aim to build the capabilities defined in the business strategy. And if this business strategy is one of cost leadership, where the aim is to minimize the costs, the HR strategic plan will be different than when the business strategy is one of differentiation, where the product is unique and more expensive. So, at those cases, the HR strategy and the subsequent policies will be very different. The next step would be to align the HR activities. Now, once the HR strategy is set, the real work actually starts. All HR activities should be aligned with the HR strategy. This can include recruitment, selection, performance management, compensation, and benefits, organization, or even the functional designs, even more. All these activities should be aligned with each other. So, for example, the qualities that you evaluate someone's performance on should also be the criteria that you use to hire people. And in addition, these should also be the qualities you look to develop in your workforce. This way, the hiring, the performance evaluation, rewards, and learning, and also the development will all align with what the business strategy is trying to achieve. So, there are many such example bundles where which involves the employee retention, which is also associated with many HR practices, including the job designs, employee involvement, equal opportunities, innovation, many more. So, majorly, this bundle will also include the performance appraisal, the team working, the training and development, the provision of information, all other parameters too. Majorly aligning these practices with each other will actually create a compound effect and will help you in achieving the business strategy. So this is what makes the HRM truly strategic. The third that we can look at is more emphasis on data. So one of the key requirements of making an impact with HR is being able to show that impact. This is where data comes in. An emphasis on data is key in measuring the impact of HR policies. So it is very common for the business to track its success using the key performance indicators. KPIs are metrics that are aligned with the strategy of the organization. Finance has a large set of financial KPIs, and so has marketing. If the company is public, an important KPI for the board of directors is the stock price. So decisions are influenced again based on the impact that they have on these strategic KPIs. HR departments, however, are often not data driven. So metrics are at times ill-defined, and are scarcely. HR KPIs are even rarer. These are the HR metrics that will have a very direct impact on the KPD, key performance drivers of the business. So KPDs are the drivers of business KPIs like the customer satisfaction, the product quality, innovation, and so on. So in addition to tracking progress, the people analytics can be used to measure which the people policies contribute to business goals. This can make the contribution that HR makes very tangible. So I can give you even some examples like the Best Buy, which is an American consumer electronics retailer, which found that a 0.1% increase in engagement leads to an increase in revenue of 1 million per store. So people analytics thus helps to make a very concrete business case for HR investments. And now we shall look at the fourth tip. Don't forget HR's other responsibilities. So we started off pointing out that the push for strategic HRM originated with Ulrich's critique of the lack of strategic contributions towards HR. This doesn't mean that HR should only focus on its strategy. There are other elements to focus on. Ulrich defined 4 HR roles, and these include HR strategy, enabling change, efficient administration, and developing and engaging employees. So the risk of strategic HRM is that we focus too much on the HR strategy while forgetting other tasks. The last tip that we can ensure to have an impact is taking an outside-in approach. A critical next step to being strategical is taking an outside-in HR approach. Who are the customers of HR? These are sometimes employees. However, there are also other stakeholders, including shareholders and customers. So, according to Ulrich, it is HR's task to not only look at strategy as a mirror for what HR has to do, it has to look at it as a window that shows how we can do our jobs better for outside stakeholders. And these outside stakeholders include customers, investors, key suppliers, government agencies, and even communities. HR can become a lever for those external factors, and this requires further integration. Not only are different HR practices aligned with strategy, but the strategy is also aligned with these outside stakeholders. So, the best way to do this is by focusing on value creation. HR shouldn't focus on what it does, but on what it creates. So there's a lot more to strategic HRM than that meets the eye. We shall now look at the 7 steps to strategic human resource management. Not only should HR align its practices with the business strategy to be truly strategic, HR needs to understand where the strategy comes from and connect with the various stakeholders that strategy is made for. When HR succeeds in doing this, it will be able to add tremendous values to the organization. So here we shall look at the 7 steps to strategic human resource management. Strategic human resource management is key for the retention and development of quality staff. It's likely that employees will feel valued and want to stay with a company that places a premium on employee retention and engagement. Before implementing strategic human resource management, you will need to create a strategic HR planning process using the steps that you look onto the screen. Number 1 is to develop a thorough understanding of company's objectives. So when a company decides to have an objective for a longer run, it needs to be communicated and it needs to have an overall understanding among all the people who are onto the process. The next step is to evaluate the HR capability. Evaluation gives us a clear understanding and a broader perspective of what can be done and what can be said. And the third step is to analyze the current HR capacity in light of your goals. So our goals can be of any duration or any size, but it's very essential that we analyze the current capacity of what human resource that is available in the organization. The fourth step is to estimate the company's future HR requirements. So the analysis would then give us an understanding of whether increasing the requirement or holding the requirement or even extending the requirement for our near futures process activities. And the next step is to determine the tools that are required for the employees to complete the job. It is very needed that we equip our employees with all such requirements that they need and sought after to complete their day-to-day activities. Without the provision of the tools, it is a challenge for us to extract the work that is to be completed within a specific deadline. The next step is to implement the human resource management strategy. So after all the analysis and the findings, it's now time for us to implement the strategy into action to see how the process gets flowed. And the last stage is again an evaluation and corrective action. So here comes the interesting part of evaluating the implementation that's been done and then taking any corrective actions if at all needed. So to have a clear strategic implementation in the overall activities of the organization. So strategic human resource management is very important for every company. And company doesn't need to employ a specific number of employees before starting to consider or implementing the SHRM principles. In fact, if we have a plan to grow business, we should be thinking about linking this growth to strategic human resource management. And some companies outsource this part of the business because they don't have an in-house HR function. So strategic human resource services provide full service HR functions, including developing a human resource management strategy. So strategic HR services help to take away the burden of both operational and strategic management to facilitate the growth of your business. We hope that this video on SHRM relating to the tips impacting the strategy and the 7 steps that are part of the strategy will be helpful to you. Thank you.